Sandy Hook families win legal victory against Alex Jones in defamation case.
Major legal victory for 8 Connecticut families and one first responder who sued InfoWars founder and noted conspiracy spreader Alex Jones. For years, Jones spread the despicable conspiracy story that the 2012 massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School, where 6 adults and 20 children were killed, was staged. Here are the faces of the victims, young children, teachers, and the school's principal. They were very real. They were murdered. We remember them. Today, a judge ruled that Jones is liable by default in the defamation case because he repeatedly refused to hand over records to the plaintiffs. Now, a jury will decide how much he's going to have to pay the families in damages. In September, Jones was defaulted in Texas for failing to turn over documents in a similar case. Joining us now, attorney Chris Maddie, who represents the plaintiffs in the Connecticut lawsuit. Chris, I appreciate you being with us. Can you explain what liability by default means?
Yeah, by the way, chat, I was in 6th grade when the Sandy Hook shooting happened. When the news got out about the shooting, they let us all out of school early that day. So I remember, like, not knowing why we were being let out of school early and, like, asking around, like, hey, guy, why are we getting let out early today? Today wasn't supposed to be a half day. Why are we getting let out? And people are just like, I don't know, man. I don't know yet. And then eventually, after like an hour or two into the day of like us waiting, like after like the announcement that it was going to be a half day, then we found out there was a school shooting. So I remember the day that happened. This has been a long going like court case against Alex Jones because he made those statements not too long after the shooting itself.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Anderson. Today, what the Connecticut Superior Court determined was that because Alex Jones had engaged in a long series of misconduct and discovery abuses, he had essentially prevented the plaintiffs from getting a fair hearing, from getting the evidence that they were entitled to. And because of that, he forfeited his right to present evidence in the case in his behalf. And as a result of that, the allegations against him are considered proven. He is liable to the plaintiffs for the claims they have made against him, which include defamation, violations of Connecticut's Unfair Trade Practices Act, intentional infliction of emotional distress. And now the question for the jury will be the extent to which the families that we're honored to represent were harmed by his conduct.
How can you actually collect from him? I mean, does he have assets?
Well, you know, this case is not really about money. It's about accountability. And so our goal, and when we get in front of that jury, is to show them just how devastating his conduct has become. Now we have...
By the way, I want to point this out, guys. I don't think most of you realize just how hard it is to sue someone for defamation or libel in America, okay? It costs a lot of money. As you can see, it's a very long process. And Alex Jones is such an obvious and unapologetic example of someone who lies about other people to push political propaganda that he got fucking steamrolled in this case. He got so steamrolled that he was too afraid to, he lost by default because he was too afraid to give those documents to the judge.
Well, I think the court made the point today that the evidence that he deliberately withheld was precisely the evidence that would show that he engages in outrageous, inflammatory, and dishonest rhetoric in order to drive traffic to his website so that he can profit financially. He withheld data concerning the reach of his defamatory publications about the families. He withheld data about his company's finances.
Oh, by the way, I want to point out that the harm of Alex Jones's misinformation is so great and expands so far that even though Alex Jones is currently not even on YouTube, I would not be surprised if this video in particular even, as a matter of fact, I'll just, yep, this particular video has been like downvoted a good amount for the amount of views it has, even though Alex Jones isn't even on YouTube anymore. The propaganda that he spreads and his audience is so large, it's very possible the video that I'm doing right now on Alex Jones will get ratioed in dislikes by his fans because he doesn't just spread misinformation, okay? Maybe you could try to defend Alex Jones by saying he just says whatever he wants and he's crazy. Alex Jones doesn't just spread misinformation. He goads his audience into acting on said misinformation, which is what makes Alex Jones and his ilk so dangerous. It's not just that they're lying to their audience, but they're making their audience act on those lies. Out of the fear of getting copyrighted by CNN, because they can be a little copyright happy, I want to make sure not too much of my video is a is something that like the bots could try to get from me. We're gonna go ahead and stop playing the CNN video there, but we got the main point of everything, right? So with that said, today we need to talk about why people like Alex Jones are so dangerous and how they spread propaganda in a way that allows them to usually get away with it, except for in this case, okay? Because what Alex Jones has done here is an example of something that is 99.9999% of the time something that you can totally get away with, okay? And this thing, all right, this thing that Alex Jones does is called stochastic terrorism. I'm not a good typer, okay? So correct me if I'm wrong on the spelling there, okay? So stochastic terrorism is a really interesting idea, okay? And it's a method of radicalization used by a lot of far-right figures here online to try to build some level of separation between them and the propaganda that they peddle and the outcomes of said propaganda, okay? So stochastic terrorism basically refers to a type of radicalization that is separated from the individuals pushing it, right? So here would be an example of stochastic terrorism, okay? So here is Alex Jones, right? Let's say we've got like our little, here's our little, actually, what can we, here's Alex Jones, okay? He's very angry. Alex Jones is a very angry guy. He yells a lot. This is his face right here. This is angry Alex Jones, okay? Now, Alex Jones doesn't go like hold rallies where he gets people together to like kill like black people or whatever, right? Like that's not what he's out there doing. Nobody's really out there doing that. Not in that form at the very least. But what Alex Jones does is instead makes this giant, how am I going to visualize this? A giant net, a massive net of political content, like a big cast net. You guys ever cast netted before? Here, we'll make it a cast net. It's like when you're cast netting is like a type of fishing where you have a giant net with little weights on the ends of it, and you throw it out into the water, and it looks like a big like umbrella almost. And it like goes into the water, catches the fish, then the weights pull it closed and the fish get caught in it. So what Alex Jones does, or what stochastic terrorists broadly do, is throw out a giant net, a big fucking net of content, okay? Of content with a very particular political goal, a very particular message, and a very particular bias, okay? He throws out this giant net, and millions of people, literally millions of people, are caught in this net. And those people who follow this one content creator who completely one-sidedly just uploads content to some platform, now has the ability to radicalize millions of people, and that's just what Alex Jones did. So now let's say this net has been cast, and Alex Jones has successfully radicalized a shit ton of people. So let's draw our person, okay? Let's imagine this person represents a bunch of people. Now Alex Jones has made a bunch of people angry. Imagine this one person represents thousands, millions, whatever, has made this one group of people really angry. And now that group of people are going to go act out in real life. So we can have some of those little angry guys here. You know, they're really angry, and they got their little frowny face, and they're holding tiki torches. That's right. We're going to represent him with like a little tiki torch guy here. There we go. See? And he's chanting, "Jews will not replace us," okay? So we've taken a random person and we've turned them into a radical extremist. Now you have to remember that the people who end up carrying tiki torches around at a rally chanting "Jews will not replace us" are probably like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percentage of the people exposed to Alex Jones's content. But that's the beauty of it, right? Only a percentage of Alex Jones's content is ever going to actually be radicalized enough to take action on what he's saying. But when they actually do that, there's so many layers of separation now that it's very easy to defend. This same algorithm can be used for plenty of right-wing figures that have existed online in the past, right? Mostly online. Richard Spencer, what's his name? Milo Yiannopoulos, people like No Bullshit, people like that have all radicalized people and engage in radicalization through this method. Because now, if you're some random, like, here, we'll draw a lefty here, okay? And the lefty's head is obviously bigger than the right-winger's head because, You know, we have bigger brains than them. I mean, if you cut open a conservative's head and you look at like the skull shape, you'll find the skull shape of the average conservative is considerably different than that of the average lefty. When you cut open the conservative skull and you look at the inside, there are actually dimples in the part of the brain associated with stupidity and fear. But when you cut open a leftist, there are more dimples on the part of the brain associated with creativity, science, and just generally being an intelligent person. So naturally, of course, we make the leftist head larger than the conservative. And, you know, the leftist is just here like saying, you're a Nazi. So this leftist is saying, you're a Nazi, not just to the person that's doing the Nazi stuff, but also to the figure in question here. And this here also will give like the lefty, we'll give him like some blue hair. Blue hair SJW, okay? We're going full in on the stereotype, okay? So you got the blue hair SJW here accusing this person of being a Nazi, making the accusation basically to both the person they're making it towards and the creator who inspired them. But here is where stochastic terrorism shows its effectiveness, right? Because now, when you accuse this figure of being a Nazi because the actions of the people their rhetoric has inspired, there's so many layers of separation now. For starters, this person can claim, well, look at all the people who are just watching my content and never act on it, right? Look at the 99.999% of people who never actually act on it. Or then they can also say, well, this person's just doing their own thing. How did I make this person do what they did? There's so many layers of separation between these layers of radicalism and these layers of action that the creator who specifically put out the propaganda that radicalized this extremist can completely separate themselves from it now. But here's the thing. In the case of the Alex Jones situation, well, Nazi, yeah, that's an S, not a Z. In the case of the Alex Jones situation, it's completely different. It's completely different because in this case, the parents, the victims of the radicalization in this case, so we can draw like we'll draw like a sad face for like the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting, like the parents of the dead children. They are being harassed by these people, and they've now sued Alex Jones, and it's worked. This is one case where I can actually say the cycle of stochastic terrorism has broken. Stochastic terrorism did not work this time. Alex Jones was not able to use these layers of separation between him and the people who acted upon his misinformation as a defense. And in the court of law, it was found that, yes, he did in fact spread misinformation and radicalize people into harassing the families of these shootings, harassing the families of the dead of these shootings. Really fucked up stuff stochastic terrorism is. Alex Jones is a major purveyor of that type of radicalism. Stochastic has an H in it, by the way. I don't care. I do not fucking care, but thank you for telling me, because other people probably do.